Hey Buffaloes, it's Miss Barron here. It is Tuesday, and so that means that we're going to continue to work through our book that we've been going through. It is called Flipping a Lid, My Brain and My Feelings, and remember that this is from the Responsive Counselor, and it talks about our brain. So far, we have learned three very important parts of the brain. We have learned our wise owl, which is our frontal lobe. That helps us to stay calm, make good decisions, be the best version of ourselves. We've learned about the elephant, which is the hippocampus. That is our memory saver and where all of our memories are stored. And last week we talked about our guard dog, the amygdala, and that's where our feelings are, and our guard dog. And sometimes when this is activated, our guard dog or our amygdala, that's where that fight, flight, or freeze comes from. And so today we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about what happens when we flip our lid. So just a reminder, here's our brain model as a hand. The front part is your frontal lobe, okay? The hippocampus or memory saver is the palm of your hand. And then your thumb represents our guard dog, the amygdala, okay? And what happens when we get overwhelmed, we get worried, we get anxious, we get stressed, sometimes we flip our lid. And so we're going to look at what that looks like when we flip our lid, because it's kind of a new term and you may not know what that means. So let's go ahead and talk about this, and then I'll talk about it after we get done. So here we go. It says, what does a guard dog do when it senses danger? It barks. If any of you have a dog at home and they hear something outside, they automatically start barking, right? Even if they're not in danger, they bark. What does an owl do if it hears loud barking? It flies away. What happens to our memory saver if there's loud barking? It can't hear or do its job. If you've ever taken a test and maybe someone's tapping their pencil real loud, can you focus? No. So this is called flipping our lid. When we fight, flight, or freeze, okay? So that's just an example. So here we go. When that happens, your guard dog is in control. And remember what the guard dog does. Fight, flight, or freeze. That's a tongue twister. Remember when we talked about flipping your lid? This is it. So when your amygdala or your guard dog senses danger, it flips its lid. And this becomes in control instead of our frontal lobe where we make good decisions. So sometimes that's why we get in trouble, friends, when we flip our lid and maybe we're yelling at someone, or we're throwing a block, or we throw something, or we hide under our desk. That's because this part of our brain is now in control and not our frontal lobe, okay? And that's where we can make calm decisions. But what if the guard dog starts barking and you're not in real danger? And this is where we'll talk about we get in trouble. What if you're just upset or stressed, worried, or mad? What if you flip your lid when you're actually safe? That does happen, unfortunately. And here's some examples. Imagine you're trying to leave for school, but you can't find your backpack. You're starting to get stressed about being late. You can't remember where you last saw it, and you start shouting to your little brother. That's flipping your lid, and that's where you get in trouble for your actions. It's okay to feel stressed or upset or angry, but shouting out your brother is probably not the best choice. And so flipping our lid when we're not in danger sometimes can cause us to do things that get us in trouble. So there's an example. Here's another example. Or what if you're taking a test and the first question is super hard? You know that your mom is expecting you to get an A, but you don't think that will happen, and all of a sudden your brain goes blank and you can't remember anything. You flip your lid. And so that's freeze. The first one was fight. Okay, you're shouting. This is an example of freezing. Can't remember anything on the test, which you've probably studied for. Okay, and here's our last example. Or imagine that you get called to the principal's office and you panicked and tried to hide under your desk. This is an example of flight. You try to escape. That's flipping your lid. Okay? probably not the best choice, but now our brain is controlled by our amygdala or the guard dog instead of the wise owl. And remember, our wise owl helps us to make good choices and helps us to remain calm. So here we go. Here's your question for today. When is a time that you flipped your lid? When did your guard dog amygdala make you fight, escape, or freeze even when you weren't in danger? So please feel free to answer this question underneath this video. You can email me. You can put it on under the video on Facebook. Let me know. Okay, so that's an example of flipping our lid. Those are pretty common examples. I think Miss Barron has probably done that where I'm running late and I may have yelled at my kids because I was stressed trying to get into the car. And so at that time, my amygdala or my guard dog was in charge and not my frontal lobe or the wise owl. And so next week, friends, we're going to talk about after we flip our lid, how do we get our wise owl back in control of our brains, okay? Because we don't want this amygdala to be always in control of our brains because that's where it can cause us to get in trouble even when we're not in danger, okay? Now, I always tell my kids, it's okay to feel what you feel. Feelings are natural. We're going to feel angry. We're going to feel sad. We're going to feel mad. We're going to feel stressed, overwhelmed at times. And that is completely okay how you feel, okay? But how we handle how we feel is not always okay. And we have to make sure that we are trying to make those good decisions and that our wise owl is in control of our brain. So next week, we'll talk about some things that we can do to help our wise owl be in control. If you're watching my coping skill of the week videos, those are awesome, great tools to use for when we do flip our lid to get our wise owl back in control. So be watching those. I put those out on Wednesday, okay? All right, until next time, you matter. You're important. I care about you guys. I miss you big. I'll see you later. Bye.